not understanding.
Okay, somebody's recording.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, whoever it was. Thank you very much. Let me go to okay. Thank you. Oh, sorry for really taking a lot of your time. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are. And Dr. Alex, karibu atanikwambie good night. Thank you very much, members and non-members and friends of Power Logistics for creating time to come and share this evening with us and also to learn from Jane. We've been walking this journey with Jane for quite a while now, and that she's going to have the platform because this is not my show right now. It is her show. And we say, Jane, asante sana for trusting Quig with all these and with your work. And because it's your show, I'm handing it over to you so that you can continue with it from there. Dr. Kamau, wewe nimekuambia tutakualika siku ingine, ukuje sasa utuambie mengine. I will be leaving the meeting in the next. I was supposed to be leaving at 2020. Actually, that's when I'm supposed to be leaving because I'm on night duty. And it's quite unfortunate. I would love to sit mpaka mwisho, lakini siezi. When kazi calls, lazima tuapia huko. Thank you very much. Jane, the floor is yours. And Priscilla, I'll make you the host right now. So, na ukiona unataka kutoka mapema, pia unaweza ukasema upe mwingine pia. Oh, now the host button is lost. Yeah, Joseph Kimani. Okay, so let's continue. The floor is yours. Somebody's sharing a screen?
Yeah.
Doctor?
So you're following Joseph Kimani.
How comes? This is irritating, kind of.
It's okay.
Priscilla, you're now the host. I'm no longer the host. And please, Jane, the floor is yours. And thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Jackie. Like you have said, we have walked this journey together. And I'm so thankful that you are always there for us, especially me and Power Logistics team. You never know, and you will never know how much we appreciate you. May God bless you. Even when you're doing things for quick, we know it's not, we can't pay you, but may God bless you and your family. So good evening, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Jane Modoni Wambugu on Facebook, the CEO of Power Logistics. And here in Germany, most people knows me as Jane Bauer. I'm so grateful that today when we are mixed, today when we have men in the house. I see Cyrus. Thank you, Cyrus, for being here. Thank you, Kamau. I've seen also somebody, Thomas. And today we have a special guest, Dr. Alex. I'll tell you guys about him as we continue, but as usual, let's maybe start with a word of prayer and I'll pray. Jehovah God, we give you praise, we give you honor. Thank you for bringing us once again together as a team, as a family, that we may talk and discuss something. Your word says, two can never agree. They can't work together unless they agree. Father, we thank you because we know today we will agree, and with that we will work together. We give you praise, we give you honor as we start. In the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, we pray and believe. Amen. So thank you so much. Thank you that the reason why I decided to do a Zoom meeting is concerning a lot of questions people have been asking on Facebook, on Kenya Women. Dr. Kamau, when we hear us talking about quick, it means Kenya women in Germany. But today we don't have only the women, we have also our men who we also work together. So I decided to do a Zoom meeting because the questions were so much, so that I can try and answer most of these questions from the people. And like I have said, we have a guest who really walks with me on this journey. He's my mentor. He is the reason that Power Logistics is where it is in Kenya and here. He guides me when I'm going wrong. So I owe him also this evening. May God also bless you, Dr. Kamau. And later he will maybe explain a little bit about himself and what he does. We all know that Power Logistics started here in Germany like 7 years ago with a lot of problems. And like we always know, business is solving a problem. So when I started Power Logistics, I saw there was a problem of people to ship things to Kenya. Everybody likes to ship good things to their family back home. As we all know, we all believe in German quality, which is one of the best in the world. So we want our parents to have good washing machines, to have good microwaves and etc. in Kenya. So we like to ship to them. So with this, I realized there are a lot of problems because we have very, very few shipping companies from here to Kenya. And the ones who are also doing with cargo freight, because we do the sea freights, there are also many, not so many, but they're also expensive. So that was one of the reasons why I started Power Logistics. I started from a very humble beginning. Like I started, most people knows my story, but today I repeat it very shortly because of the people who don't know. I started like from zero with nothing. Like most of the time I always say I started with 300 euros. So through persistence and working hard, Power Logistics has reached where it is today. There are so many problems when it comes to shipping, which you realize when you have started. And most of them, people have doubts, people have lost things. So I tried to solve some of these problems Kenyans face here. Like they lose a lot of their things. You will hear, I know most of the people here, they have also lost things. So I try to find why people lose their things, which we have solved because we are reliable and we are trustworthy. The other problem was people are fearing the corruption we have in the port in Kenya. So I'm lucky and I thank God. I also went through it. I also was conned so many times, but God gave me a good agent where we are working together very well. That's why you see our containers, we clear them very, very well. Why am I saying this? Because if you want to start a business, don't just start a business because people are starting. Look from your society. What can I do? What are people reading? The community where I was, like my community are the Kenyan people. I tried to solve that problem of them shipping to Kenya, which most of them, they can talk about it. We have been very, very efficient, reliable, and we keep to our word, and we value our customers so much. The other thing is also shipping to Kenya is also very expensive, especially those who have shipped through cargo. Cargo flight is very, very expensive. So we came with this idea of doing consolidated containers. Consolidated containers are where you gather things from different people or different companies, and then you put them as one container, and then you ship. The other thing is people fear also, that one I talked about their things being stolen, because they have also lost a lot of their things. The other thing is there is also lack of information about shipping. And that is where also a very big problem is. People have no idea about shipping. So we try also to give people some advice on what is about shipping. because we really need to learn and know more about shipping. How does it go? From the day of loading till the things get to, for our case, to Kasarani. So we try to give people that information because we feel they still need that information. And that's the reason why even today we are doing the Zoom meeting. So there are more problems, but those ones somebody can, I can give them later, maybe when somebody contact me. And also timing, the timing, that one I don't want to forget, timing. Most people think to ship something from Kenya to from Germany to Kenya, it takes 6 to 8 months. We have changed that. Most of the time, it goes to, like now, because we have the problem in Suez Canal, or what you call the Suez Canal. We have a problem since December. I know Priscilla can talk about that because she works also with import and export. But they are taking longer because that was our shortcut. So they have to East Africa. So now the containers of the ship are going through South Africa. So that's why it's taking just a little bit longer than before. So we are giving it, at the moment, we are giving it a maximum of 9 weeks. A maximum of 9 weeks from the day of loading, your container should be, or your items should be in Kasarani. Like now, last week, we received the shipment for March, almost end of March. We have gotten it and it is in our shop, and pickup is starting from tomorrow. The other thing I would also like to talk about, which I talk every time we are doing a Zoom meeting here, is about packaging. Packaging matters a lot when you're shipping. Because I always tell people, I'm not responsible for what you have packed inside your carton or your fridge or whichever item you are shipping. Packaging, people need to do it most of the time the best way. Like when you are doing, today I still have my things, what I always show people, like the breakables. For example, like as usual, I always give an example of the plates. The plates. Most people want to ship to their people the good quality plates from here. But you find somebody will tell you, I folded mine with a newspaper, which is not a bad idea, but by the time they got in Kenya, they are broken. And somebody will everybody brings their things and they write to me, oh, Jane, these things are fragile, so please let's not put something on top. But you know how we load containers. We load one carton after the other. But we load according to the weight of the carton or the item the person has. So if the heavy ones, we always put them on the ground. Then we go like that, stumbling them up until to the end. Because if you don't load a container the right way, it's gonna be a loss. So most of the time, what I always advise people is to have, we call them this fish folia. We have them from all our supermarkets here. They look like this. So you take most of the time I tell people, if you are not, you've not done it before, don't do like me. I usually do 6. So you start with 3, you tie them, the 3 of them, this is the folia. You tie them very, very tight. Very, very tight. So you continue until they are not making any noise. Oh my God, Corey is not going to work today. So you can go as many times as you want. They are very cheap. They are not expensive. So, and you will end up with something like this. That's how I do mine. And then when you're putting them in the container, or in your container you are using, you want to ship with. Some people use the plastic containers or the box. Usually I tell people, look for stabile cartons. Those ones who comes to our warehouse or our lager, I usually show them the ones to use. So don't use newspaper. We always have old clothes we want to give people back home. Wrap with them. Then your things or your items, the breakables we reach in Kenya, very, very safe. And also make sure you fill your carton very, very full. When it's full, it's also stable. Then after you finish, you use your sellotape, and then Mr. Magic comes. These fish folio, the big ones. These ones, we use them to wrap all the cartons. They also help to keep the cartons firm. That's why we use them. You find them in all Bauhaus, all of them where you go, Poco, Bauhaus, everywhere where you go, you will find them. They're also not that expensive, and when you buy one of them, you can use it for a long, long time. The other thing is I do have sometimes is the tape. Why do I have a tape? I have a tape so that I can measure the cartons. You have seen our price list. Our price list, we go according to the measurements, but not the weight. So I will measure just to guide me, because sometimes some people brings their cartons, they are over our normal measurements, which are our guidelines. So I use that tape, and you can also use it at your house. You measure, and then you will know where your carton lies. The other things I also use are these marking pens. The marking pens are good because when you want to write your code, most of the times I give people codes even before they bring their cartons, so they write them on their cartons, and they are permanent, so they will not fade away, that the number, and you write on sides, so that if one side maybe by mistake clears, you have the other side. The other thing is why we are also efficient and reliable. We have also worked with some few people because of the transport. We all know transport here in Germany or everywhere in the world, how transport is. So we work with some people who offer transport services. Like I've seen Mr. Kamau has also been working with us. The other Joseph Kemani from Rafiki, he has also been working with us. So we work together with different people offering different services so that we can be able to provide good shipping services to you. Also, the other thing we do also, we also work together with the cargo people. Most of them, they're in Frankfurt. So we work together. When they have things to ship by sea, they give to us. And when they have things for the cargo flight, we have cargo flights, we refer our people to them. So the other thing is, I wanted also to talk about, most people have been asking about how to start businesses in Kenya. We all know that businesses, like I said, is you look for a problem and try to solve that problem. I can never tell you which businesses to start, but what has worked for me, the world has changed, the systems have changed. Even in Kenya, they're also really trying with the system. Sometimes they're a bit low, but they work. Like, do online banking, do M-Pesa to avoid cash in your shop. Install CCTV cameras. Look for mentors. Like me, I have Mr. Kamau. They will guide you on the way to do. I'm not against, and I can't tell people not to employ their family members. But it's a very big risk. You can employ your family members, but your business, if there's a problem, you can never be able to ask them. I've gone through it, I know. So you are either hard, they think you are hard if you are following so much, or they're like, if they eat your money, your sales, your business go down, they'll ask, utadu. you know, that kind of an attitude. So what I have done myself, I have looked for help from Mr. Kamau. I have a lady who do my stock every time my container comes. That's why when the container arrives, people don't pick up their things immediately. We always take 2 days minimum to arrange and take the stock and everything. And since I started that, because we do even the count the logistics, the power logistics items from Germany, we count them. So since I started that, I have seen the advantage of involving other people. It's better you pay somebody to do what they're doing for you, and then your business will grow. And there are people even who want to start farming. It's also a very good thing in Kenya. So it is you to know, because even that farming, you will still want to sell your things. So everybody who wants to start any business, it is doable. It's not easy and it is not hard. It will depend on how you yourself, you see it. The other thing, when you start a business, I've talked about the CCTV cameras, and nowadays, they connect it with your Safaricom line, if you have a Safaricom line. So you'll be monitoring, like when my container comes in, if I'm free, I monitor them, or later when I come from work, I come and rewind and I see what they have been doing. Please take control of your business. There's good business back home, but you have to do the right thing. The other thing is, like we always do here, please do your paperwork. Register your company. Even if it's very, very small, register your company. And if you don't have an idea, look for people. There are people back home. They help. And help, I mean, they will guide you. If you pay them, you agree on how much they will charge. They charge differently. But for me, I opted to go with Mr. Kamau because he does a lot of things together. He will explain to you later. So please register your company. Whether you are making money or not, please register your company. And then you get somebody to do taxes for you. Like here, we always have the Steuerberater, the same thing in Kenya. I have registered my company here and also in Kenya because I deal with these 2 countries. So I have to adhere to the law of companies here and also in Kenya. So that if there's a problem, the law will not follow you, or you can show them, hey, I did this, and or your Steuerberater can produce something. And in Kenya, people like Mr. Kamau, they will say, hey, let me deal with this, because we can't know everything. Some of these things, even me myself, I didn't know that you need them. Because like in Kenya, there are also so many things you need to register. And if you don't know, they will keep on coming to your shop and it will cost you a lot of money. The other thing is, I've talked about registering the company. Then the other thing is the most, also very, very important, do online banking. Today, I think all of us, we can do online banking. That way you are in control of all the things going on in your shop. If you start a shop or in your land, whatever businesses you wish to do, please have online banking, have M-Pesa and no other means of payment like we do here. And with that, you can be able to control everything. Like most of the people, me, I really don't go home every time a container gets home, but I clear my container when I'm still here. And I'm the only one who does that. I send all the money or everything when I'm here. So please take care and control of all your banks or all your money. So that the hard work you are doing here, we work very, very hard. It doesn't, it doesn't discourage you. because most of the time people have told me stories that they started businesses. I know it's not easy. I started, but I'm not here to discourage people. You can do it. I have done it and you can do it. And please be ready to go through the process. Sometimes the process is not that easy. But when you go through the process, you learn. There's no failing in business. You just learn. Make sure that even if something has gone wrong, you have learned something out of it, that you will not repeat it again. And when you see that you are failing again, know that there's something you are missing. There's something you didn't learn. Try to read about businesses. Like I read a lot of books. Like I was reading something, was it on internet, that the market is now in Africa. So many Germans have really shipped for them. They are going to Kenya. They have relocated to Kenya. What is this they see that we can't see? And that is the question we should ask ourselves. What do they see in Kenya that we the Kenyans, we can't see? So let's open our eyes. Let's read. I read a lot of books. I read about, like there's this book I would tell people to look for. It's called Hustle. It's a very good book when you want to start a business. Read books. I read a lot of books. I do a lot of YouTube. I listen to people, like also this one by George Washiori. It's also a very good one. He's Kenyan. So make sure you read every day. Read something. If you really want to do business, assess what you want to do. Read about it. Do your due diligence. You might not get 100% answers, but you'll get something. And I think I've tackled almost everything. And the other thing also, the business you want to start or you are doing, if you can get partners who are doing almost the same thing like you, connect with them. Networking. I usually go to most of the events. I go to connect with the people because your network is your net worth. Connect with people. Be nice to people. Listen. Listen to what people are telling me. Like me, I came to know through what my clients were telling me. That's how I came to know about all these problems people are facing. And I think, yeah, connect with other partners like I do, and value your clients. Like you always see all our advertisements. We value people. We value customers. Sometimes something might go wrong. We are not 100%. But the only thing I usually do, I tell people, let's talk about it. We might not solve that issue immediately, but with the time after we talk, we can find a way to solve that problem. And our values are, we are reliable, efficient, we are effective, and we are trustworthy. If you trust us, we are ready to work with you people and anybody who needs any help. I might not know everything, but I know one thing or two, and I can be of help. And our next shipment will be next week. The container comes on the 21st. It's really, really, really booked, almost overbooked. So I know I have my last minute customers. I know now they are starting to pack their things. Let's see you on the 21st. And with those few ideas, maybe we can have some questions maybe later after I give the floor to Mr. Kamau. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jane, for that, for sharing that information, and also for inviting me to make a presentation to these honorable ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Alex Kamau. I am a business consultant working with a company called Maina Kamau and Associates. We are situated here in Nairobi, Kenya. And I have been working with Jane. She has been very kind. I knew her for some time now, and we have walked the journey with her about power logistics. And when she came to me, the main concerns that she wanted was for us to streamline her operations, for us to see how we can train her employees so that we could increase efficiency, their effectiveness, and eventually lead to increase in profitability, more sales, and reduction in cost. We have been able to also do risk management, where we installed CCTV cameras and also sensitized employees on how to do proper bookkeeping, because that's where a lot of theft or loss of assets happens to a company, when there's no proper bookkeeping. And also, as Jane has rightfully said, when it comes to the issues about how cash is handled, do you allow employees to receive cash? Do you allow them to, or do you ask them to ask the clients to send money directly via maybe PayBill or directly to the bank? So I'm glad to be here. Happy Father's Day for the fathers who are in the house. Allow me to share my screen. So as I share my screen, I would want to say that the reason I use the title doctor is because I have PhD in business administration, which I acquired from Jomo Kenyatta University. I also have a CPA, and by virtue of that, I am licensed by Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya to be running an auditing firm. I am equally licensed by Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya, which is the institute that licenses company secretaries. And the main work of a company secretary is to facilitate registration of companies, transfer of shares, filing of annual returns to the register of companies, and the allotment of shares. There's so much work that the company secretary does in terms of enabling a company to comply with the existing laws of the land. Finally, I am registered by Institute of Certified Investment Financial Analyst to practice as a financial advisor. Mainly, the work of a financial advisor is to offer investment support services to a company in regards to when it comes to making investment decisions, making financing decisions. If a company wants to go to the bank to source for a funding, the question would be, which facility do you go for? Do you go for a short-term facility, or do you go for a long-term facility? Do you go for reducing balance loan, or do you go for a flat rate loan? So those decisions we help companies to make. And when also it comes to making investments, there are various options that a company can invest in, starting from it can invest short-term or long-term. If it decides to invest short-term, then that company would be looking to buy treasury bills. If it is long-term, it would be considering to buy treasury bonds. And there are various risks associated with whichever option that you choose. And therefore, we take the directors or our clients on the nitty-gritties about which option to pick, so that they can really optimize their resources. So today, I wanted to really focus on the issue of tax advisory, because among the various things that we offer, one is the offering tax advisory. And here in Kenya, it has become quite a big thing, because if you are not tax compliant, you are not able even to start a company. That's where we are starting. If you start a company and then you want the company to be registered for various tax obligations, for instance, value-added tax, could be monthly rental income tax, could be you want to be registered as an employer, where you want the obligation of pay as you want to be added to your PIN. It cannot be added unless you, as a director, you are compliant. So I felt it's a very big thing. And the reason I really wanted to focus on the issue of tax advisory is because there's a window that is almost closing. And this window is about the tax amnesty for penalties that is currently ongoing. It was started in 1st July 2023. After the passing of the Finance Act 2023, the Parliament, in its wisdom, made a proposition that any Kenyan who owes any money to KRA in terms of penalties should be forgiven if such a taxpayer applies for a tax waiver. So it's a program that has seen many people who would not have ordinarily been able to acquire tax compliance certificate, been able to apply for waiver, and being awarded the tax amnesty, and for them to really finally get a tax compliance certificate, which is a very, very important document. As I have said, there are many things that you cannot do unless you have a tax compliance certificate. So with that brief introduction, I will talk about tax. The question I'm asking is, are you tax compliant? I will divide my presentation into two: the tax bit and the one about the other support services that we offer to companies. So to help you answer the question whether you are tax compliant or not, let me first give the context or the background about that question. That every Kenyan 18 years and above is required by law to register for KRA PIN. And once you get the KRA PIN, you do your filing of taxes on a platform called iTax. iTax is a digital platform that was created by KRA from 2016. Before iTax in 2016, taxes used to be filed on a manually. And that was very hectic. And KRA later on decided to leverage on technology so that it could increase tax collection efficiency. And therefore, each taxpayer is supposed to have an iTax account. So for you to have an iTax account, you register your PIN on that platform. You usually use your KRA PIN as the username when logging into iTax platform. And there's a password that you are provided with for you to be able to log into that portal. Now, you could be wondering whether you have the iTax password. In case you don't remember your iTax password, KRA has a mechanism where you can be able to reset it. How you reset it is on the same portal of iTax, you trigger the reset of a password by saying that you have forgotten the password. Then the new password is sent to the email address that is linked to your KRA PIN. Again, someone could be asking, how do I get to know this, the email address that is attached to my KRA PIN? If you have the physical copy, the hard copy for your KRA PIN, it has so many details. And one of the details is the email address that is attached to your PIN. In the event that you don't have that hard copy PIN, KRA PIN, then you can really visit KRA or send a representative to KRA with a copy of your ID so that the PIN, so that we can start by replacing the email address that is linked to your KRA PIN, so that whenever you reset the password, it can now go to an email address that you have access to. It is very, very important, especially when we are talking about people need to take advantage of this tax of the waiver window that is just about to end in the next 14 days. Allow me to highlight the tax obligations of any taxpayer. The moment you are provided with a KRA PIN, the primary obligation that you have to execute is to ensure that you file for income tax. Income tax, every PIN comes with that obligation, whether you are employed or not. Once you get you acquire a PIN, it comes with that obligation, and it is what every other year before 30th June, you are supposed to file taxes. And in the event that you have not been in gainful employment or doing a profitable business, you just file a nil return. Failure to do that, there are penalties that KRA imposes on you. So again, I want to really emphasize that this is the right time for someone who is yet to file tax returns to do that, so that you can avoid being penalized. There are other tax obligations that a taxpayer may decide to add. This could be VAT obligation, pay-as-you-earn obligation, rental income tax obligation, and turnover tax obligation. Allow me to shed more light at this point that as a consultant, we highly discourage a person from adding additional tax obligations on your personal PIN. If you want to do a business, it is good that you incorporate a limited liability company. And that limited liability company is considered by law as an artificial person. And because of that, it will be issued with its own KRA PIN. Now, the new KRA PIN that you get once you register a company is the one that now you can proceed to register for any other tax obligation. Because, for instance, if you register your personal PIN with VAT, every other time you are late on filing returns for VAT on a monthly basis, you get penalized 10,000 per month. So in a year, that adds to 120,000. Pay-as-you-earn. Pay-as-you-earn is an obligation that you add to a KRA PIN if you are an employer. And again, if you don't file taxes, if you don't file returns by the end of every month, another penalty, 10,000. So you see that if you add so many obligations on your personal PIN, I consider it suicidal. Because if you happen to have so many penalties on your personal PIN, it's good to know that you can never ever be issued with another personal KRA PIN. However, if you are dealing with a company and for some reason you forgot to file taxes and you have penalties which have accrued up to maybe a tune of 1 million or maybe more, then you are unable to pay that amount of money, and the government actually from the Finance Act 2023, it was resolved that going forward, the issue of tax amnesty will not occur again. So if you incur a penalty from, or if you have already incurred a penalty from January 2023 going forward, that one, the government is not going to issue any waiver. The waiver that the government announced last year is for the penalties that had accrued before that 1st December 2022. So the point that I wanted to make, in case you find yourself that a company has so much tax obligations and penalties, you can always do away with that company and open another company. Though the government is also closing that kind of a situation, that in case that you are a director of a company that is not tax compliant, you are also prevented from registering another company. But nonetheless, it is a lesser challenge as when compared with when it is your personal PIN that has got all those challenges. So maybe to mention the rental income tax, any person who receives a rental income here in Kenya, you are supposed to pay 7.5% of the gross rental income that you are receiving. It is very important because if you have a flat here and you are a landlord or a landlady, and you are not doing that, it is a timing bomb on your side, that it's only a matter of time. KRA will catch up with such a person. And what they are doing is that they are walking around and they are doing mapping. By leveraging on the technology, they are able to really obtain the coordinates of your flat and get the details about the owner from the tenants. And once they do that, they backdate the taxes that you should have been paying even for the last 5 years or so. But when you present yourself and you say that from now I want to start paying taxes, then it becomes easy for you. Turnover tax is a tax that is there, and usually it is for business people, and it's good to clarify this one. If you are a business person and you are not very comfortable in keeping proper books of accounts, or you don't have the ability to register to hire a full-time accountant, this tax option was brought up for a person like that one. That what this person needs to do is just to know that that particular year, that particular month, for instance, the month of May, I sold sales worth 100,000. So you pay 3% of that 100,000 to KRA. It doesn't take into consideration the issue of expenses or the issue of any deduction. So it is very simple, but it is also expensive at the end of the day. So if someone can be able to avoid it, because it doesn't give you the flexibility of reducing your tax obligation. It's good to know this turnover tax, when you still pay it, even when your company is making losses, because it is anchored or based on the sales that the company is making, not the profitability of the company. But nonetheless, it is a tax that is there, and some people consider it to be a good tax. There's what we refer as additional assessments. And I want to raise this issue because you could be having a business, and one day you realize that KRA has frozen all your bank accounts. It is something that is happening here in Kenya. And it's good that I emphasize, so that even before we discuss the issue of formation of a business and starting a business, I first of all provide the context that once you start, you know what pitfalls to avoid. So additional assessments. Usually the tax system here in Kenya is based on something called the self-assessment, that KRA trusts that the taxpayer will be honest when declaring the taxes that she is supposed to file. But in the event that KRA suspects or has additional information to the contrary of what you had filed, and they are aware or they suspect that you did not declare the full income that you had received in that particular period of interest, then they do what is called additional assessment. What is additional assessment? Maybe you had filed, you had said that the taxes that I'm supposed to pay to KRA is 10,000, but there's some income that you had not declared, and now this information has come to the attention of KRA. And KRA now, they are convinced you should not have paid 10,000 as taxes, you should have paid 100,000. So they do additional assessment. They send you a tax invoice of 100,000. So the question is, how would KRA suspect that you're not being honest in your tax filing? Number one is what is referred as non-filing. Non-filing is the category of taxpayers who are considered ignorant, that they don't know their duties and responsibilities as far as the filing of taxes are concerned. Maybe this person, when being registered for a KRA PIN, she was registered for income tax, maybe for VAT, for pay as well, a lot of tax obligations. But this person has not been filing anything. So KRA wonders, how come this person for the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, nothing has been filed. So to really get your attention, KRA would first try to get to reach out to you. How do they do that? Every KRA PIN, when it is being registered for, you have to provide the Kenya Revenue Authority with your telephone number. So in the event that they suspect that you are not being honest in your doings and dealings, they call you. But unfortunately, some of us could have used some telephone numbers that they are no longer in service. So KRA gets frustrated when they are reaching out to you. Number two, every KRA PIN is attached or linked to a certain email address. That one I had discussed. But unfortunately, maybe even this email address, you don't have control of it. You had gone to a cyber cafe, someone registered for you the email address. So whenever KRA tries to reach out to you, unfortunately, you don't have control of the email address. So again, what happens? KRA now is not able to reach to you through phone, through email address. So the only option they have is to send something called an agency notice. An agency notice is a tool that KRA uses by communicating to the Central Bank of Kenya so that CBK can communicate to all commercial banks, ordering them to freeze any account that is linked to that KRA PIN that has been suspected not to be compliant when it comes to filing of taxes. That's a non-filers. The other trigger that can make a KRA to really issue an agency notice on your bank account or freeze your bank account is when you are in the category of nil filers. This nil filers, maybe someone is in business and you keep filing nil this year, last year, the other year, and now KRA wonders if this is the case, how come this person is in business? Does not make sense. So again, they try to reach out to you. They try to call you. You are not receiving. They try to do you an email. You are not receiving. But in the event that they get you, now another problem comes in, because at that point, they ask you to provide them with the bank statements for the last 5 years, M-Pesa statements for the last 5 years, because they are saying, if you have been filing nil returns, we want to confirm. Can we prove? Can we verify? And that's why many businesses have gone down. It is a risk that it is not worth to assume, because the moment KRA asks for those documents, then they will always find mistakes. And maybe you should have filed taxes of about 10,000, so to say. And since your bank account have gone, so much money have gone through your bank account for that period of 5 years, maybe going to millions, tens of millions, then you find yourself in a very tricky situation. The other reason why KRA could really close your bank account or freeze your bank account is an element called is an element referred as the missing trader. Remember, when you are filing taxes, you start with your sales. When you start with your sales, you reduce your expenses, and then you get profits. So you pay taxes on the profit. But some people are clever, in quotes, and they fake expenses. The expenses here in the Kenyan context, we say Nizile as a river road. And KRA later on realizes that you are purporting to have purchased something from another business. But when KRA scrutinizes whether this business exists, they realize that it is a missing trader. And now they come back to you. The other one is a mismatch between VAT and income tax returns. There are very many taxes that a business person is supposed to pay at the end of the day. So if you have a quirk as an accountant, or maybe you are filing for yourself and you are not very conversant with accounting procedures, when you report sale, when you are filing taxes for one tax obligation, and you say my sales were 100,000, when filing for any other taxes, whether it is pay as you earn, whether it is income tax, whether it is VAT, you really need to be consistent, because sales is sales. So if when you are filing for one tax obligation, you say my sales were 100,000, but when filing for another, you say it was 50,000, then there's a challenge. KRA will flag you down, and when they flag you down, they really make it hard for you. I have seen contractors, I have seen businesses whose bank accounts have been frozen, and once they are frozen, this business cannot be able to pay for operating expenses. They're not able to pay their suppliers. They're not able to pay their employees. They're not able to pay for rent. And it becomes so much of a challenge that a business closes, a business is forced to close down. And KRA at that point is very unfortunate that they say, once we get hold of you, then we don't listen to what you are saying. Because if you wanted us to listen to you, you would have availed yourself before us coming to you. The freezing of bank account by KRA, I've discussed that. The legal suits, I have discussed that. That basically means that in the event that your bank account doesn't have much money, the KRA can institute a legal suit against you as a business person, so that at the end of the day, they can auction. So that at the end of the day, they can auction your assets. There are various. Maybe I will discuss it when it comes to the emerging issues, because what I wanted to say is that KRA, through the Finance Bill 2024, they are proposing that they be exempted from the provisions of Data Protection Act. Data Protection Act is an act of parliament that was introduced 2 years ago, and it seems to the main purpose of Data Protection Act is to ensure that the privacy and confidentiality of an individual personal information are not put in the public domain. But now KRA is seeking to be exempted from that provision. And what that means, every other time a KRA person writes just an email to your banker and says that I want to be provided with all the bank statements that are registered under this KRA PIN, that banker should not question the KRA person. Before that, KRA had to obtain a court order. Before now, the financial institutions could release your financial information. But right now, that is not the case. And actually, just for your information, especially now that most of us are working in diaspora, KRA is also partnering with other like-minded countries, so to say, so that they can be able to smoke out tax cheats and tax evaders. So that the same way we are saying that KRA is getting visibility about your financial operations here in Kenya, even for Kenyans who are in diaspora, the same thing, KRA is being facilitated by your country, for instance, now Germany. And equally, Germany now also gets to be facilitated by Kenya to really give financial information about the Germans who are residing and working here in Kenya. So we see a scenario or an emerging trend where countries are partnering so that they can be able to smoke out tax cheats across the globe. Now, you might find yourself in a very precarious situation where KRA has frozen your bank account. Now, how do you go about that? How to appeal for unfair tax decision? The first instance when that happens is you object that tax decision by KRA. How do you object? You object by writing to KRA through your official KRA email, the one that is attached to your KRA PIN. And then from there, you seek audience with your account manager. Every KRA PIN has got an account manager who is attached to it. Just like the way you could be having a lawyer, You could be having a medical doctor. You could be having a certain banker that you consult every other time you have a challenge with your bank account. So your KRA pin is attached to someone referred as the account manager. So you have a meeting with him, and you explain yourself where you feel you should pay 10,000 and not the 100,000 that KRA is talking about. If you're not agreeable, then you are now taken to what is referred as a tax appeal tribunal. You go to the tax appeal tribunal. In the event that you feel you are still not satisfied by the decision of the KRA, then from there you proceed to go to High Court, then to Court of Appeal. And we have seen even big companies like Kiroshe being dragged by KRA to court. And I remember the case for Kiroshe. Actually, eventually they were they were asked, or they were found culpable by KRA, and KRA is pursuing a tax invoice of 10 billion from Kiroshe. And at that point, the government doesn't really consider that you are an employer. What they are interested with is for you to really pay their dues. Let me talk about the emerging tax issues. The emerging tax issues. It's very, very important because whether you're a small business person or you are a large-scale operator, there are some emerging issues that might get you off guard and really become very problematic to the operations of your business. One of them is referred as ETIMS. This is Electronic Tax Invoicing Management System. This comes from the background of where we started. Probably some of us understand there's a time we used to have something called ETR. ETR is Electronic Tax Register. Any company that was dealing with VATable services or products was supposed was supposed to register for VAT. And what that would mean that every other time you are selling a commodity or a service, you would issue an ETR receipt to the person who is buying your product or service. And it was purely on VAT or VATable products and services. But now, KRA has introduced something called ETIMS. ETIMS is for every business. It is not limited to businesses that are subject to VAT, but every business, including Mama Mboga, including those farmers. And probably you have heard the notices that have been made by farmers in Mount Kenya that our avocados are being taxed, our coffee is being taxed, our sugarcane are being taxed. Because last year, through the Finance Bill 2023, ETIMS was introduced. And as I have indicated, if you don't register for ETIMS, the penalty per month is being proposed to be 2 million. 2 million. And the current Finance Bill 2024, is the one that that KRA is requesting through the Finance Bill 2024, that when this Finance Bill is enacted to law and becomes Finance Act, it has a provision in it that any business that does not register for ETIMS, then it will be subject to a penalty of 2 million per month. 2 million per month. Who are these people that are supposed to be registered for ETIMS? If you have any business income here in Kenya, whether you are a landlady, whether you offer digital services here in Kenya, any business, the only person who is exempted from it is a person who is in full employment. So ETIMS, how does it operate? Every other time you make a sale, you need to issue an ETIMS receipt. An ETIMS is a software that you install in your computer, the computer that you use in your shop, so that every other time you sell something, you go to the ETIMS, you go to your computer, you go to that ETIMS software, and now you sell. You print that receipt, you give to the buyer, even if it is Mama Mboga. That's the same procedure that Mama Mboga is supposed to do. That's the same procedure that the boda person is supposed to do. There's no one who is being exempted from this procedure. Now, where it is making it very difficult, is when preparing the taxes to pay at the end of the year. And this eating started this January. It is started this January 2024. So by the time we'll be filing taxes for the year 2024, next year, you will not be allowed to claim any expense that is not ETIMS compliant. Every expense, for it to be considered valid by KRA, it must be supported by an ETIMS receipt. What do I mean by that? If you run a business and you go to a petrol station to fuel your car that you use for running your business, it is a must now that you obtain an ETIMS receipt from the petrol station and ensure that this ETIMS receipt contains your KRA PIN number. If you just go to the petrol station, you are given an ETIMS receipt, but you forgot to ask the station attendant to input your KRA PIN on that ETIMS receipt, again, it is null and void. And this is where we will have so much trouble at the end of the year. Because if you made sales of about 10 million and you had purchased, like now the business that Jane does, maybe assuming in a year, her business here in Kenya has sold items worth 10 million. And of course, she had bought those items. Maybe let me just use a figure like she had bought these items at a cost of about 9 million. And these purchases of 9 million, if they are not supported by ETIMS receipts, the government will not consider those purchases as valid. They will say it is low, and law requires that every purchase you have, it must be supported by ETIMS. They say, Ati, you have been paying rent for your business. Okay, have you been asking your landlord to give you an ETIMS receipt whenever you pay the landlord? No. Then don't tell us about rent as an expense. And this is going to be a shocker to many businesses. We continue to sensitize the businesses to really try to comply with this new requirement. That when you are buying, even when you are buying from Mama Mboga, ensure that you get that ETIMS receipt. When you are buying even from a supermarket, ensure that you not only get the ETIMS receipt, but you also insist that your business PIN be input in that receipt. So that's one of the emerging issues. About ETIMS. The other one I had spoken about is the tax penalties amnesty. That currently we are having a window where any person with the KRA tax penalties, you apply for the waiver, then it is processed and you get a tax compliance certificate. So as I finalize, I ask the same question: are you tax compliant in Kenya? This is I know it's a hard question because now I've given you so much information, and if someone wants assistance how to really check whether you're tax compliant, so that if you find you are not tax compliant, so that you take measures to really take advantage of the undergoing waiver process before it ends by that year, the June this year. So call to action. The taxpayer you have less than 14 days, that is up to 30th June 2024, to do what? Number one, to check your tax status, whether you have penalties or not. If you have penalties, then apply for the waiver. Number two, to check whether you have any pending tax returns. Maybe you have never filed taxes from 2016, 2017, 2018. Please ensure that you have it checked before that is June 2024. In the event that you have not been filing, ensure that the returns are filed. And this is, in case you need assistance, we do facilitate filing or checking of your tax status, then because of late filing, you will be subject to penalties. And these are the penalties that I'm saying the good thing you are within the period of asking for a waiver. I can see Joy is raising a hand. Joy, could you kindly proceed to ask the question?
I was waiting for you to finish, then I can ask you, but I can always ask. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just have a few questions about this eTIM. We have a business already registered in Kenya. We have a free trade, we do trading. But now in this context of logistics, and if you say when you need to get a receipt that has eTIMs, and you're dealing with people like us in the diaspora, we don't have those eTIMs receipt when you're buying products to come and bring them to Kenya. So how is that going to work with KRA?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joy. Yeah, yeah, I knew even Jane would ask that question at some point. And yeah, there are those few expenses that are exempted from eTIMs. One of them is when you are importing. When you are importing, because the seller, the person selling to you, is not subject to laws of Kenya, then that gets treated differently. But the good thing, you can always be able to show evidence that these items you imported through the documents that you get from the port of entry. So the other exemptions would be salaries. And the reason salary you don't get eTIMs is because it is an expense that you are paying to someone working with you or working for you. But to ensure that the salary, to ensure that you don't get any complications when claiming for the salaries that you are paid to your employees, always ensure that you are registered for pay as you earn. Your business is registered for that obligation, pay as you earn as an employer, so that every end of the month, by 9th of the following month, you file pay as you earn for these employees. And there's a misconception, and this will make many businesses find themselves in a very tricky situation with KRA, because it is normally said that if you have an employee that you are paying less than 24,000 per month, then this employee is not subject to pay as you earn. It is true. However, even if you have an employee that you are paying 9,000, when you are doing your returns for pay as you earn, include all the details of all the employees, including if there is one that you are paying 3,000. So that information will be forwarded to KRA, so that at the end of the year, KRA will know you had an employee that you are paying 10,000. The good thing, the Excel sheet or that platform of filing pay as you earn, it is a smart template that it will not charge taxes anyone who is under 24,000. So you can see someone who has 10 employees and each employee is being paid 15,000. This business does not file pay as you earn. So because they feel or they think that since the employees are are being paid less than 24,000, then they are not within that bracket. So you lose the opportunity to be able to claim 15,000 per employee. Times 10 of them, that is 150,000 per month. 150,000 per month could be added to about 1.8 million per year. And you will have a big problem trying to convince KRA that, no, I had 10 employees, but I was paying them 15,000 below 24,000. If you have such a case, ensure that you file for them. So there's air tickets. Air tickets are also not subject to eTIMs, mainly because the company offering such services maybe it is not subject to the laws of Kenya, something that you are importing, the salaries, some expenses like the utilities, where you make payment to Kenya Power, to Nairobi Water. Those are currently being exempted. Or maybe you are paying for business permit to a county government. those one will be exempted. But these are the ones that you are doing purchases. It is fuel, it is rent, it is transport services, anything else. It has to really be supported by eTIMS receipts. So
I still don't understand that, because at the end of the day, I've registered the business in Kenya with the e-citizen or whatever that system is. So they know I'm in business. So whatever business I'm doing, so what I hear from you, I only put employees. What about the business itself? Because if I buy the products here and bring them to Kenya, I need to put them somewhere every month. It's a business. So how is that accounted, or is the model of the business different when you're registering on a different platform? It's still not clear.
I'm not sure what you mean, because
so let's say I'm doing a logistic business, so I'm getting the products from here, bringing them to Kenya. So as I understand, Regine, we need to register ourselves in Kenya as a business, and we'll get a KRA number for the business, right? Is that correct? So now, according to you, I still have to give that name, IT, whatever, you need to every month put receipts of everything in your business that you have made money or you have bought, whichever way. I imagine more of you have made money, right? Only when you sell.
Yes.
So I'm selling that product in Kenya. So these are local people.
Yes.
So how am I going to put that in the ET? And those people, local people, are just consumer.
It's a good question. Your business has two sides. One of the side is the income side, and the other side is the expenses side. What you are importing to Kenya is on the side of expenses, and for exports they are exempted from eTIMS, just because the person selling to you is not subject to the laws of Kenya. But KRA has visibility about the cost that you have incurred to bring that, to import those items. So that is very clear. You have the supporting documents. It is very clear. Now, on the side of sales, on the side of sales that you are making, and it's good that I also clarify further that we have got two types of eTIMS. There's one is referred as the online portal eTIMS. Online portal eTIMS. This is an eTIMS that is being registered for, or that is for people who are in service business. For instance, myself, I'm in consultancy, could be an engineering firm, a law firm, an architect firm, a school. So they register for online portal eTIMS. The good thing with the online portal eTIMS, you don't really need to, it is not computer specific. You can go to any computer, even in a cyber, log in into your eTIMS account and give someone a receipt. But if you are dealing with products, something that is tangible, a commodity, you must have a specific computer that is dedicated for issuing eTIMS receipt. If that computer breaks down, then you don't do business. You have to go back to KRA. You report that issue. You give them a serial number of another computer handset, so that now KRA can be able to configure that other computer for you to be able to download the eTIMS and continue making sales. So a good question you have asked, if these people are final consumers, and this is a very, very important issue that you have raised, that there are two types of transactions. Number one, there's a consumer transaction and there's a business transaction. What is the difference between the two? A consumer transaction is a person, like a household person, who goes to a supermarket to buy milk, to buy bread. That person is not a business person. She will not be filing any taxes at the end of the year because she does not have business income. This is an employee somewhere, and now she's consuming the money, and she's not supposed to to file business taxes at the end of the year. So she doesn't need to really ensure that the eTIMS receipt she's been given, that she gives her personal KRA PIN. She doesn't need to do that. But if whatever expense that you are incurring is a business expense, and you will need to offset that expense against your income so that you can pay taxes on the profit, you must ensure that that expense is, when the receipt is being generated, it must have the details of your business PIN. So for the consumer, what you will just do, you will just say that you just issue the consumer with an eTIMS receipt. You don't have to ask them for a KRA PIN. You don't have to, but it is a must that you offer them with an eTIMS receipt without the details of the KRA PIN. It's good to mention that one of the reasons that KRA medical doctors were on strike is because they were fighting and they were rebelling. They were protesting against the application and implementation of eTIMS in their business, because they say that they are bound by the oath of their office not to disclose details of their patients. But now what KRA wants is that even a medical doctor, when he serves a patient and the patient makes some payment, that patient needs to be issued with an eTIMS receipt. So that receipt must capture the name of that patient, must capture the amount the patient has paid. And the good thing, the medical doctors were able to put KRA in a corner, and that law at the moment has been suspended for the medical doctors. But for these other businesses, it is a requirement that you have to, when selling anything, even to bring the point home, any landlord, any landlady, even if ni nyumba za mabati, the ones that you would pay 3,000 or 2,000, you are required to issue your tenants with an eTIMS receipt. I hope that, Joy, is clear. Maybe.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's clear that we have to still get the receipt from this one computer, the only computer that has access to the KRA, to produce those receipts with the KRA number. What the consumer does with it is up to them. I think that's what I got from that. Okay.
You are right. And it's very complicated when it comes to that. This computer must be internet enabled. And KRA, they are not so much concerned where you are doing your business, where it is in Mombasa, in a very remote area, northeastern Marsabit. They expect any business person that, especially even if it is Mama Mboga, because Mama Mboga now in this case is dealing with the commodities. The Mama Mboga is supposed to register for eTIMS, and it is supposed to be the computer she's using is supposed to be internet enabled. Failure to do that, there's a proposal through the Finance Bill 2024, whose chances of being implemented as law are almost 100%, because the government of the day has the majority in both parliaments, that is the National and the Senate. So from 1st July, every other person who is not compliant to eTIMS, a business person, will be risking a penalty of 2 million per month.
You say the computer has to be in Kenya, or what about us in Europe? Does it matter? In Germany?
The computer, yes, a good question. The computer needs to be in Kenya, because if you are doing business in Europe, then the profit that you are generating from such a business is not subject to the laws of Kenya, and you are not supposed to pay taxes to Kenya. You pay taxes to the country where you are. So
yeah, but it's just a computer. It's just a computer that is working. That's what I understand, that has internet.
That's good. The question maybe would be, who are you selling to? Who are your customers?
They are in Kenya, but I'd like see Jane is sitting in here in Germany. She does all the business here. So she would need to do all that with a computer here, right?
Can I explain that a little bit? Because maybe I'm understanding it in a different way, Joy. When you're doing business in Kenya, you're paying taxes in Kenya. For example, me, I'm both German, doing business in Germany and is in Kenya. So I'm paying taxes here. I have my Steuernummer here for Germany, for the power logistics. And I have ex-Germany where I sell my commodities. So for the commodities I'm selling in Kenya, that's where eTeams comes in, because I'm selling in Kenya, and Germans, they don't tax me for what I'm selling in Kenya. Have I explained something maybe, Joy?
Yes, that I understand completely. We have the same scenario. We have a company in Kenya, we have a company here. But for me, I'm just concerned, why does the person operating the computer, because most of the receipts are sent online. It's like for us, the business, you send the receipts and everything through online system, right? Because even ETJ is gonna give you a PDF receipt, so you're gonna send it to your customer or whatever. So why can that computer be anywhere in the world? Because it's just a computer. Does it have to be in Kenya? That's the question.
It's a good question, Joy. Yes, the computer has it doesn't have to be within Kenya, because the internet, as long as it is internet enabled, because even when it comes to filing taxes, you can file taxes even when you are outside Kenya, because of that leveraging on technology. So it can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. To answer your question, though, to avoid what I'm afraid of is you might be someone, if that happens, sometimes you might find yourself you are exposing yourself to double taxation, where you are paying taxes to that other country. But if you are clear on how to navigate that, then the answer is it is true. It can be anywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If let me see whether I can get any other question from the chat. Does every business need an ETR machine? Yes, though we are no longer in the era of ETR. We are no longer in the era of ETR. ETR actually was scrapped out. We moved from ETR, electronic tax register, to TIMS. TIMS were tax invoicing management system. If you can allow me, this is the ETR, and these are the ones that we were using before. But now this gadget was replaced with another gadget referred as the TIMS, Tax Invoicing Management System. The reason why ETRs were scrapped out is because they were not modern. They were not internet enabled. They are not smart. They are not smart machines. So we moved to TIMS. The TIMS machine was retailing here in Kenya at a cost of about 50,000. And the government received so much complaints from traders that the government is making it very hard for traders to comply with taxes. And that's why now the government eventually decided to roll out a software-based platform that any other person, what you need to do is just buy a computer. And the good thing with a computer, perhaps it has many uses, not like a machine that you would buy at a cost of 50,000 and it has no any other use. So we moved from ETR, we went to TIMS. Currently, as we speak, we are on eTeams. And eTeams, there are two versions, the online version and what is referred as the desktop version. So I'm trying to figure out from the questions. Okay, I don't think there's any other question. In case there is, I was just reading from the chats. I would be happy to receive any question from the audience. additional services that we offer as Maina Kamau and Associates. One is to do company registration. And as I said, it's good when you are doing business, you do it under a company umbrella and not to do it as a sole proprietorship. Even partnership businesses are not the best. If you are working with another partner, instead of going to a lawyer to have for the lawyer to prepare for your partnership deed, the best thing, the safest, is to just incorporate a company, and that company, the two of you will be recognized as directors. The reason about working as a company is because a company is recognized by law, and it is governed by Companies Act 486. Companies Act 486 gives directions on what basis a company can be formed, the duties and responsibilities of both directors, how AGMs are convened, who does the minutes, how the allotment of shares happens, how the winding up, just in case the company want to wound up the company. So Companies Act. But when it comes to partnership as a form of business, it's a very delicate one, because if you have 3 partners and you are bound by a partnership deed, and one partner decides to leave the business, then that partnership has died. You have now to create another partnership. But for a company, if one director exits, then the other directors are able to continue owning the shares that have been left behind by that director. So I highly recommend that in a business, it's good. The other thing about partnership, when at the end of the year, the partnership has made some profits, it is the responsibility of the partners to file for those taxes using their personal PIN. If the partnership business has made a profit of 100,000 and our profit sharing ratio is 40-60, I will file the 40,000 using my personal PIN, and my other partner who has a 60% shareholding will file 60,000 using her personal PIN. But now for a company, there's nowhere my personal PIN is getting dragged. So to be really safe and to protect yourself, because another thing about partnership, if you borrow money with your partnership business and the business is unable to repay its loan, the lender has the ability and has the right to come even sell your personal items. If it is a piece of land, if it is your car, if it is your matrimonial home, it can be sold to pay for the business, for the expenses of your partnership business. However, if you are operating under a company and a company has borrowed and is unable to repay its debts, any asset that is registered in your personal names cannot be auctioned by anyone. The bank or the lender can only come for the assets that are registered under the name of the company. It is very important. However, so it is a plus. It is an added advantage, something that is very important. That's why we use the concept of limited liability, that the liability of the company is only limited to the extent of the assets that are registered under a company. Allow me also to mention something about using a company to run your business, to do your business. That if you have a car that you use to run your business, that car needs to be registered. The logbook needs to read the name of the company. If the logbook reads your individual name, that car, that vehicle, or that asset is not owned by the business. And therefore, KRA will decline to accept any expenses that have been incurred by the company via that asset. For instance, if you fuel your business, the car that uses for your business, maybe to transport, for instance, the case of Jane from assuming there are some deliveries she needs to make from her shop to Kilimani, where a client to Kilimani or Kileleshwa or any other location. So you have either a motorbike or a pickup. And this pickup is not registered in the name of Power Logistics. It is registered in Jane's personal name. KRA will refuse to accept the cost of fuel, the cost of maintenance, the cost of insurance. So for you to legitimately be able to claim such expenses, ensure that the asset is registered in the name of the company. It is very important. And it is actually a very serious issue, because you might insure, assuming the car is registered in your personal name, the logbook is written in your personal name, but when you are taking the insurance, you paid through the company, and it is now the insurance documents are reading the name of your company, but the logbook is reading your personal name, and the car is involved in an accident, and the logbook is reading your name, and now you go to claim for compensation using insurance documents that were registered using the name of your company. The insurance company will not pay, because it will say that the company had no insurable interest on that asset. So it is always very good. It's something that we really emphasize, that you harmonize and synchronize the two. Business asset for the business, let them be under business. Asset for personal assets, let them be registered accordingly, and we ensure that there's separation of those transactions. So I have listed there for the interest of time. For the interest of time, I can just read through company registration we do, whether it is a business name we are registering for you. In the event you want a partnership, we do that. In the event that you want a private limited liability company. Filing of annual returns to the Register of Companies. Many people are not aware that companies are supposed to file annual returns to the Register of Companies. There are returns that are done to the KRA, but over and above that, there are returns that are supposed to be filed to the Register of Companies. Why do you need to file for returns to the Register of Companies? Number one, a company being an artificial person, you need to inform the Register of Companies that my company is, the official location for my company is in a building called Blessed House along Thika Road. So for the last 12 months, I have not changed the location, because a company is not like a natural person. It really needs to say where it is. And in case you change your location from Thika Road to Kilimani, you really need to, when you are filing your returns, you need to say so. When you're doing the returns, you really need to say, within the last 12 months, I did not borrow any money from the bank. Because any person who wants to lend money to your company needs to know how much indebted the company is. So if my company already has a debt of 10 million, that should be public information when I file that information with the Register of Companies. So any person who wants to lend me money can do a search, and the CR12 form will show those details that this company is indebted. In terms of capital, every company is supposed to have the capital, the share capital. It could be 100,000, it could be 1 million, it could be 10 million. And when you are registering a company, it is good that you get advised which capital you need to register your company for. Do you want to say your company has a share capital of 100,000? Do you want to say 100 million? You can say even 10 billion. It doesn't matter. When you are registering, no one will ask you a question. But when you now want to transfer and transact with those shares, now you realize you are in big problem if someone just registered a company for you without giving you proper guidance. So you say, in this year, I have not changed the share capital of my company. I have not reduced, I have not added. So that's information that the other information you want to tell the Register of Companies every other year. And it is a criminal offense not to file annual returns to the Register of Companies, is to tell the Register of Companies that you have not changed the name of your company. Sometimes people change the name of the company for one reason or the other. Maybe you are doing rebranding, but If you have not done that, you need to say. If you have done that, you need to say. The issue of change of directorship, you might want to tell the registrar of companies that for the last 12 months, because you file these returns once in a year, they are referred as annual returns. You tell them that the directorship of the company has not changed, the shareholding of the company has not changed. So we facilitate companies to really do that. We offer support services in terms of business planning. Maybe that's what perhaps one day, if I get opportunity, I would be able to take you through the business planning. And that's where Jane rightfully said that one of the main concepts that someone has to consider before starting a business is what solution are you providing to the market? Is there a problem in the market? So when we are taking you through business planning process, those are the questions that we need to ask. Do you just issue in, like now for the case of Jane, when we are doing my sessions with her, we really focus on the kind of items that she's bringing to Kenya. Not is the items being imported to Kenya in high demand here? Because if that question is not answered properly, then we will have what is called the dead stock. We will have brought maybe computers that are already outdated, some electronic gadgets that are not compatible with the systems of Kenya. So that's a question. What solution are you providing? So advisory on starting and running a business, this one we do. Corporate training, like next week I'll be going to train the internal audit staff of Nyeri County. I have been able to train a few counties to work with the few counties in terms of training them how to manage the public finances. The other one is business process reengineering, restructuring, continuous monitoring, support services for tendering processes. We are licensed to do auditing, and one of the reasons we do auditing, one of the purposes that we do auditings for, is when you are going through a tendering process, you are required to issue a 3-year audited financial statement. This is to help the company that you are applying for a tender from, to know about your financial muscle, to know your assets, to know your liabilities, to know your share capital. So we also do audit reports for in case you are having a case with KRA. KRA might want to really know, to really be guided by an audited financial statement from a licensed person, accountant, so that KRA can trust the documents that you are providing them when you are casing with them. The other one is when you are processing a bank loan, we prepare audited financial statements for purposes of giving that information to the bank so that they can know how profitable your business is, how indebted your business is, what assets. And finally, but not the least, we offer financial management advisory and also investment advice. How do you invest? In case you have more than 3 businesses that you are faced with, 3 business projects, which one do you prioritize? Because usually you will find you don't have so much resources to invest in all the business ideas that you have. So we guide our clients on which option, which business project to prioritize over the other. And of course, we are usually guided by the rate of return, by the return on asset, return on equity, and other metrics that we use to measure financial performance. So I want to say thank you very much again for listening to me, even for being invited to share with you. As I said, I am an entrepreneur. I am also a lecturer. I'm currently lecturing part-time at Riara University, Jomo Kenyatta University, and Cooperative University. The good thing with that, even if I've mentioned many universities, doesn't mean that I'm always going there physically to the universities. Just like we have done this Zoom meeting, that's how we teach through Zoom most of the times. So our contacts are as indicated in the screen, that we are a medium-sized accounting firm registered by all the relevant agencies here in Kenya. And my contact number is that one. And my email address is the one that is indicated there. So once again, thank you very much. In case there's any question, I would be happy to answer. Back to you, Jane.
Thank you so much. And thank you that you have really shared with us some of the things actually even me I didn't know. I really appreciate, and I'm sure the others also. We have learned a lot, especially with KRA. Those are things we are not so much familiar. And great that you really, I'm happy that you came today and you had time for us. And I hope we will have one day a whole session on business, because today we didn't touch on that a lot, but I hope next time we will have that session. And I think I had seen Cyrus' hand up. Cyrus, did you have a question before we close?
Hi, Jane, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Just a quick one. Thank you all. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Dr. Kamau. Just a very quick one to Dr. Kamau. Somebody somewhere I saw in one of the groups asked what happens to dormant accounts. That goes back to KRA. There are those people who apply for certificate of dormancy. What happens to their accounts? Are they supposed to still file their returns, or what happens there? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Cyrus, for that question. What happens to dormant accounts? It depends what period of time you applied for the dormancy. It could be you said that I will be out of the country for the next 2 years. So once that period lapses, then the dormancy lapses as well. So if it is 10 years, again, the PIN will be dormant for that period of time. And when it is dormant, it is not subject to any obligation or any penalties.
And just as an addition, so what happens if, say, somebody is renting, has an apartment somewhere, is renting out, or is doing transactions in Kenya? Does it affect, or is just concerned with the income taxes?
A good question it is. You can only apply for dormancy if you are not generating any income from Kenya. But if you have a rental business, maybe a flat somewhere, and you are receiving rent income, then you should not apply for dormancy, unless if you register a company and the rent income is being paid to a company that you own, and therefore the rental income tax is being paid to KRA through the KRA PIN for the company that you have registered. But if you don't have a company that you are using as a vehicle to collect your rental income, it is being paid to your account, then you should not apply for dormancy.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you. That's all. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
Okay, I think before we close, if we are not closing anybody out there.
Jen, I want to ask something. Thank you so much. I just say thank you so, Janet, for organizing this. You are really a powerful lady behind us and teaching us always, and be ready to help us. For Mr. Kamau, thank you for coming. I think for me, I feel just I'm in the level of nursery school, and I really want to learn more about all these things. My question is, during Corona time, I went to apply for a company, I registered, but it was there. I never did anything. I was thinking, because I don't know anything, I don't have to do tax returns. So when I did, I think it was last week, I found a penalty of 20,000 each year. So I was like, okay, they have been wiped. If you do zero return and you have penalties, till the end of that year, the government just will forget. And so I have to write a letter to the government, or what should I have to do?
Yes, thank you very much for asking that question. What is happening? The tax amnesty on penalties is not coming. It is not an automatic process. So what we are doing for our clients is we go there to KRA, and and represent the client, saying that this client has filed all the taxes, but she has penalties. This company has penalties. Could you kindly clear the penalties? It has to be triggered by someone visiting the KRA, and that one we can do for you in case you need assistance from us. By tomorrow, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is a holiday here. Tuesday we go there. We Wednesday it should be cleared, because again currently KRA is very messy. KRA is very messy because of the many things that they are trying to introduce. There's if someone who is not very conversant with how KRA works, someone can actually go there for a week without getting any assistance. But because we have been working with KRA, we know how to resolve such an issue within the minimal time possible.
Thank you. Because as we were continuing with the Zoom, I wrote the guy. You
Jane,
told me
if you
about
can allow, there's a question I'm seeing. I need my KRA account checked. I once applied for a waiver in 2018 and was rejected in year 23. Can you assist? Yes, to assist for such a case is what we would need is the KRA. What you would need is the KRA PIN for the taxpayer, and also the iTax password. In case the taxpayer does not know the iTax password, then we can trigger the resetting. Then from there we can be able to resolve. Yes, the answer is we can assist. Back to you, Jane.
Thank you so much. I've seen somebody want, if you don't mind, you share your contacts while we are finishing up, because we have really taken long today. I think Madam Chair will get in trouble with me. So, and just to mention a few, we have some leaders from different groups. I'm thankful that they attended. We have Kamau from Rafiki FAO. We have also Cyrus from KDAG. We have Joy Awe from Awe Circle. And also we have Rose Komarek from African Nurses, to mention a few, and all other Power Logistics clients and all the quick members or the other members who attended. We are thankful that you came and you've learned something, we hope. And we look forward to offer you the best shipping services from here to Kenya, and the long-awaited shipping from Kenya to here will be launched in August. Please look for us or look at our social media website and all that. We will inform you on the date when the launching is starting, because we are starting now to ship from Kenya to Germany. Thank you so much, and we really, really appreciate you people for trusting us and always coming back that we ship for you. And please be blessed, and may God be with you as you start a new week. Dr. Kamau also, may God bless you, and may he expand your territories. Thank you so much also, Quick, for giving us this platform. Make use of all these groups. There are many. I think I'm in all these groups. I get different informations from this group. Let's make use of them, and we will learn, all of us, and we'll grow together. Thank you, and I hope to see you next week when we are loading. Thank you so much, and have a good night, and God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for being there.
Good night, Jen.
Thank you. Good night.
It was very informative.
Jane, very
Thank
powerful.
you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And you guys can contact Mr. Kamau in case you don't get the contact. You can contact me. I can give you
Asanteni.
We will. Asante, Dr. Kamau.
Karibu.
Unajua nimeshangaa bado ATR. Bado tuna Jane, I will tell you that story.
I know.
Next week, ATR. My person is still working with the ATR. I'm so disappointed.
No, they didn't know maybe.
Accountant wewe. Na venye tumefanya mahesabu.
Yeah, the members who are always left, eh?
Yeah, of course, kuna wenye lazima milango ifungwe, yeah?
Priscilla, thank you. Are you still there?
Yeah,
Nataka
I'm trying to log out.
mi lazima ningoje sababu I have to switch off
You
the
are going
lights.
to log out, yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you so much. Priscilla,
Cyrus, thank you
asante.
so much.
Karibu.
Thank you so
Priscilla, na
much.
tumekukosa hatuja kuona mimi
Akines.
Nilikuwa naweka watoto kulala ndio sababu nilikuwa up and down, lakini I've been here.
Thank you, Virginia.
Always, my dear.
Rose,
Yes.
wewe uko na Samsung.
Yeah, I don't
SM.
know why it brought that way.
Maybe you need always you have
Maybe
to be
hukuandika jina Rose.
Ni kwa sababu I
Inaandika
think
kuna-
niko na simu, lakini I
Ja-
have been mi naendanga tu na karing. Sijui, I
Jam-
don't know.
who is Jamila iPhone? Kama you are there sasa. Meg Samsung SMS90. Who is that?
Hiyo sijui ni
I
nani,
think-
lakini mimi hata yangu sijui nimejiandika aje anyway.
But people really people came. Thank you so much.
Sawa sawa.
It was
Ai, Jen,
powerful.
kumbe unajua mambo mingi hivi.
It was powerful.
Powerful.
Ni mashida imenifanya nijue maneno.
Yaani, hey.
Asante sana director.
You are
Director, asante sana. Tumesaidika.
Jen, asante kwa kuleta hiyo logical pia nini. Usiweke lodging tukuje tufanye party.
Halo?
Haya.
What? Manai.
Time.
Kuja tuna load weekend tuna grill. Kama you are the grilling master.
Nitakuwa na night shift na nikitoka night shift naenda nini orientation